morning.
Morning.
So finally we've come to Advent 1, and I've been waiting for this because I have one of those Advent calendars that has chocolates for every day. So anyway. So what are we waiting for? The word Advent in Latin means coming. Coming. So what is coming? We have to ask ourselves. In the universal, i.e. the Catholic meaning, God becomes human. God is the first, when Jesus is born, it is the first coming of God into our world. And we're told in this gospel to be ready. And in the Thessalonians passage, we're told, oh gosh, at any moment, we could be taken away. I love this because in common parlance, I have often said, you ever been in the situation where you make a phone call and nobody's there and they leave a message, nobody calls you back, you call the next person, they're not there, you call a business line and you get a machine answering, and then you have to sit there and say, did the rapture take place and I'm left behind? But if we focus on the rapture, we're not focusing on now, here and now. And our life with God is here in the present. The apocalyptic idea is something that came out of a first century worldview, and one that would be, the world would be instantly transformed, and all we had to do is be ready to be taken up. But the problem with that thinking, especially today, is that takes away our responsibility for caring for our world. And especially today, when we know that we are polluting the earth and the sky, and that we have limited resources, we have to grab hold of the present and understand God as present in our earth and take care of it. So that is part of what we are preparing. Picture this. When we think about Advent, a symbol or an analogy would be we're near dawn. Especially on a morning like this one, when it is freezing cold. My car told me it was 23 degrees. As the light of the day is gone for hours and hours, and dawn is arriving, we are experiencing the coldest part of the day before the light comes. And we anticipate the glorious sunrise that will come and bring heat and warmth and sunshine. So we have to ask ourselves, what does that mean as we approach the end of 2019? And I'd like to suggest that it means that dawn is coming and that redemption and hope are also there for us. So I'm going to tell you a story. I worked in Detroit, Michigan for 5 years with the homeless population there. And I heard the most remarkable real-life stories there. Things that we middle-class people don't really grasp. So here's a story from a woman who was a single parent. And she had a job, and she had a child, and she was struggling to make ends meet with no husband in sight. And then one day, her husband appeared, and he came after her. He was very angry. We don't know why, but he took a frying pan, a cast iron frying pan, and hit her over the head. She was seriously injured and had to be taken to the hospital. So here's where the problems begin, and these I want you to sort of tick off in your head what these problems might be. She's got a child, nobody to take care of the child. She's gone to the hospital now. She was taken to the hospital in a very serious injury, where she's going to be in the hospital now for maybe weeks. In that time, she loses her job, which means she loses her income, which means she loses her apartment. And when that happened in Detroit, and probably still happens today, the landlord takes all the belongings of the person who lived in that apartment and can't pay the rent anymore, and puts it on the sidewalk in front of the house. And then the neighbors come and they pick through all the belongings. So she's in the hospital. She's lost her job, she's lost her apartment, and the state has taken her child from her. I can't even imagine what that would feel like. But this woman came to us. Crossroads was the organization I worked for. Crossroads collected over $500,000 every year to serve the needs of the poor. Where did the money come from? Not one penny came from the government. It all came from churches and good Christian people. And when this woman arrived on our doorstep, we had the resources there to help her. And why? Because we believe in hope. We believe in redemption. We believe we can overcome the evil and the bad that is in our world that makes life sometimes impossible. And we were able to help this woman. So what are we waiting for? Why are we here? What are we working for? And I have to say, we must keep joy in our hearts and know that God is here with us. Now, I was born on Christmas Eve. I'm telling you all that because I want lots of presents on Christmas Eve. My mom and dad were not very well educated, and they were trying to figure out what to name me. And they didn't want to name me Noel, but it had to have something to do with Christmas. They didn't like Julie, so they came up with Joyce, which begins J-O-Y, joy. And I'm very grateful for that. The odd thing is that my father was Italian, and there is no such name as Joy or Joyce in Italian. So when he tried to teach me how to say my name in Italian, he said Gioia. Was a fake thing, but I'm happy that I have that name because I can carry that joy. And I think of that as a long, low chuckle. It's that feeling of goodness that stays within us in spite of all the evil and bad in our world. And The thing I love about the Italian language, again, sorry, is the phrase when you want to say to someone, I love you. The phrase is ti voglio bene. It is the greatest thing you can say because it means I want, voglio, the best, the good for you. And that is the essence of our message. That is what we're looking for. That is what we're spreading. That is who we are about as Christians as we begin this new liturgical year. God is constantly present, luring the world, the kingdom, to himself. And every time that love wins out over hate, every time violence gives way to peace, we experience the coming of Christ. To believe tenaciously that God is with us is to trust against all odds that one day the kingdoms of this world will be God's kingdom. And until that day, our only mission, is to keep finding Jesus in all the broken places and serve as instruments of God's amazing love. And when that happens, Christ has come again and again and again. Amen.